The curtain raiser at Austral Park today was originally planned as a match between Newcastle Rosebud United and the Austral side. But after the Prime Minister's Cup between Rosebuds and Canberra was rescheduled to today, the NSL side was a last-minute scratching. In their place was a composite team featuring Adamstown players and a majority of Rosebud United youth players. This team, however, lacked the polish and team skills of the Austral side and went down by 4-0. Austral's English import Kevin Meacock scored 2 goals, Wayne Bailey 1, and the final goal was an embarrassing own goal. Most interest, however, was in the match between top Sydney sides, Apia Leichhardt and Sydney Olympic. Leichhardt in the blue with the maroon band featured former Newcastle players Darren Stewart and Kerry Caban and ex-KB players Arno Betonia and Jim Hamilton. It was a similar story in the Olympic team, with ex-locals Simon Brandt, Marshall Soper and Andy Stankovic turned out in the blue and white. Despite the heat and the fact that it was only a pre-season fixture, the $2,000 first prize may have been a little extra incentive for the players to turn on their best.
As its first production this year, a play that many students will relate to. It's about the transition from primary school, where students feel like big fish in a little pond, to high school, where they suddenly feel like very small fish indeed. The play follows 3 central characters as they progress from one stage of their lives to another. Artistic director Brian Joyce says the play helps to break down fear of the unknown.
Well, Big Fish, Little Fish is about change in a young person's life. 12-year-old's life. It's about going from primary school into high school and the changes that go with that. New friends, old friends, also about the change of puberty that comes around that time. It looks at change as an ongoing thing in our lives that we get frightened about, we keep going through them and we learn through them and grow through them.
Is it a comedy? Is it a serious play? What sort of play is it?
Well, it's a song and dance musical. There's about 4 or 5 songs in it, and it is, according to our audience, it's fantastic fun from all the descriptions. The topics are serious. Obviously, when a person's frightened of something and it's serious, we've tried to allay those fears in the play and have as good a time as possible.
I'm Matthew Clark. The region's top bowls tournament, the Hunter Challenge, got underway at the Lambton Club today, where top bowlers from the Hunter and throughout Australia were on the mats.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
Hello, I'm Mark Matho. New Gas Outdoor staff have imposed work bans as part of their campaign to increase manning levels. The workers say the number of gas leaks in the Newcastle area is getting out of hand and there is not enough staff to repair them.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
The Hunter Region Rehabilitation Unit is an autonomous organisation based at Rankin Park Hospital in this building. Originally built in the 1950s as a home for unmarried mothers, the building has no elevators, a problem when treating paraplegic and quadriplegic patients. The estimated cost of installing an elevator is $120,000, so the unit was very happy to be given a $4,000 stairmate by the Wallsend Lions Club. Lions District Governor Ronald Jane handed over a cheque to pay for the machine to Program Director Brian Dunn. Then the stairmate was given a demonstration run with the help of patient Ross Smith. In the past, staff have had to carry patients from floor to floor, but the motorised vehicle will make life much easier and more comfortable for both the staff and the patients.
It will just make it so much easier to bring our patients from one floor of the rehabilitation centre, where they receive a lot of their treatment, including occupational therapy and physiotherapy, to the hydrotherapy pool, because they are on two different levels. There has been great difficulty getting disabled people in wheelchairs down to the pool, and now this is going to make such a difference to them. As well, we have only been able to use one floor of the rehab unit for our patients up to this point of time. Now we'll be able to use the whole building for our very disabled clients.
Church Cathedral, the main service for the day was held at noon. It was led by Dean Lawrence, while a special sermon was delivered by Bishop Holland. For Christians, Easter commemorates the Passover, the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. At churches throughout the region, services were held in recognition of the events which occurred nearly 2,000 years ago. The Salvation Army also held a number of special Easter services. At the Citadel in King Street, the service was led by Colonel Robert Bath, the Chief Secretary for the Salvation Army's Australian Eastern Territory, including New South Wales, Queensland and Papua New Guinea.
Well, now we've come to think about Christ. We've come to reflect on Him. We've come to see that our lives reflect the beauty of Jesus Christ in the world outside. And Newcastle and the core who you represent here in this meeting can be better places, because here in this place you have again touched the Lord Jesus Christ in faith and felt His power and felt His grace in your own life.
Colonel Bath was joined by 7 cadets from the Officer Training College in Sydney. Meanwhile, at Waratah, Good Friday provided the chance for some brightness to be added to the lives of many brave youngsters. Children's Court was visited by Tui who distributed some early Easter eggs. Some of the Tui staff have had children in the ward, and in appreciation of the hospital's efforts, they returned some of their kindness.
Police, ambulance and fire crews who arrived after the accident at 8 this morning found the crushed remains of a sedan which collided head-on with an ambulance 3 kilometres west of Branxton. The 3 people in the car, a woman, a 9-year-old girl and another unidentified female, were killed instantly by the heavy impact. The ambulance driver, a 28-year-old woman from Singleton, escaped with a broken arm and multiple lacerations and was flown to Royal Newcastle Hospital by the rescue helicopter. As rescue crews searched the wreckage, they at first thought that only 2 had been killed, until they found the body of the child wedged between the front and rear seats of the car. The front passenger side of the car took the brunt of the impact, and it took the police rescue squad an hour and a half to cut free the body of the female who had been sitting there. The wreckage blocked the western-bound lane of the highway until 10:15, causing lengthy delays in both directions for the heavy holiday traffic. The names of the 3 dead have not been released, but police say that people believed to be relatives are travelling to Branxton tonight from the west of the state to try and identify the bodies. The cause of the accident is not known.
Meanwhile, on the old Sydney Road at Buckley near Peace Ridge, the body of a man was found in a car at the bottom of an embankment. A motorcyclist who was riding by spotted the car and raised the alarm at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Police don't know how long the body's been there, but it's believed to be at least 1 or 2 days. It's thought the car hit a rock wall and skidded across to the other side of the road and over an embankment. The police have yet to officially identify the man, but he's believed to be a 36-year-old man from the Sydney suburb of Mossman. This is the 3rd accident in as many days on the notorious Mount Simpson stretch.
We're just taking with the blanket.
Today's play of the 18-hole course at the Cessnock Golf Club was the second half of the 36-hole tournament. Leading the field on the 9th was Queensland's Stuart Bouvier on 2 over and Coffs Harbour competitor Stuart Parry on 7 over. In the girls division, Shaney War from Western Australia scored 7 over alongside Queenslander Vicky Briggs on 8 over par. It's the second year that the tournament has been staged at Cessnock. The 204 competitors include local, state and interstate representatives, and next year it's hoped that international competitors will also walk the greens. Golfing identity Jack Newton has been right behind the organisation of the Classic and says that the overall aim of the tournament is to encourage young and up-and-coming golfing champions.
The whole object of the tournament is it is for kids under 17 down to under 12. So the whole idea of the tournament is to allow them to experience championship conditions. We make them register and we make them give their scores in every 3 holes like they would have to do in a big tournament like the Australian Open, for example. And also the object of the tournament is that they can compare themselves at their relative age groups.
The Newcastle City Administrator, Mr Colin Saunders, has announced some major changes to the structure of the Newcastle City Administration, and they're expected to face some fierce opposition.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
District Amateur Cycling Club, and their inclusion in the Commonwealth Games team would make them the first from this area in cycling in more than 20 years. Craig from Glendale is aiming at the 1 kilometre time trial, and his record looks good. He's beaten Sydney's Martin Binnicombe, the national title holder and 3rd in the world. Dave is from Minmai and is a road rider. On Sunday week he'll be competing in a 180 kilometre test race. Not an Australian title, but a selection trial for Edinburgh just the same. If he wins, he's in. Second, he may be.
I've put the work in. It's just a matter of everything coming together on the day. We haven't had a 180 kilometre race since about last August, so it's hard to tell because there's no races anything over about 30 kilometres at the moment, so it's going to be a big test for everybody concerned, not just New South Wales riders.
And Craig, of course, you've had more practice because track racing happens all the time. How do you rate your chances at the moment?
I'm quite confident at the moment, maybe not as confident as before because my competitors are going quite well at the moment. So,
particularly Martin Binnicombe.
Yeah, well, he is a national champion and I beat him a month ago, but he's really going well at the moment, maybe a little bit better than he was before, and I'd say he'd be the man to beat on the day.
Between them, the boys do up to 80 hours a week in training. It's taxing on their time and their pockets, so they're thrilled at getting 12 months sponsorship, the first ever in Newcastle. A change in the rules allows equipment, travelling and accommodation expenses to be paid for them without affecting their amateur status. The tab, to the tune of $3,000, will be picked up by Hadley Cycles.
Well, I've raced myself for 20 years, Ray, and done a lot of travelling, a lot of racing, and I know what it costs to go away, and I know the work that you've got to put into it. These boys have put a real lot of work in, and they deserve to get something back for it.
Of course, the Sydney riders, they have been getting sponsorship for some years now. Does that put them at a distinct advantage?
It certainly does. They've had the training advantage with better competition in Sydney, as well as not having to travel to get that experience. These boys have to travel further, and there's been no one in Newcastle willing to look at them and how good they are and what they might be able to do for their country and put some money behind it.
Until now?
Until now.
It wasn't a good day for the engineering department at the Shortland County Council. In all, there have been 3 power surges resulting in private property damage since December 22nd. The first was in Blacksmiths, where 25 households have made claims. The second was on the 24th of December, the details of which still haven't been released, but that one is believed to have happened in the Saltash area. And the third was the well-publicised surge in Carrington, where about 20 households reported damage. The chairman, Councillor John Jobling, found out about the Carrington problem when he was questioned about it by a journalist. Since then, he's been told about the other 2, and he, along with the other delegates, were not pleased about being kept in the dark.
Well, I was fairly annoyed about it. Frankly, our reporting system wasn't as good as it should. I think we've set in trained methods to fix it, but it's as simple as that. Our systems weren't up to scratch.
But now to the people of Carrington and Blacksmiths, whose property was damaged as a result of the power surges. They may have to wait months for compensation, if they get any compensation at all. Under the Local Government Act, the Shortland County Council is not allowed to accept liability in these cases unless their insurers say so. And if they go against the insurance company and pay the compensation, the councillors themselves must foot the bill. So should this legislation be changed to cope with these situations?
In Sydney, they have been looking at it through the Energy Authority. I suspect they're found in looking at it there are more problems that they would create than those that they'd solve.
Back to 1889 when it was originally the Wickham Council Chambers. 43 years ago it was transformed into a kindergarten. But over the past few years the battle with dry rot, rising damp and peeling paint has taken its toll on the old building. Director Margaret Lewis says the battle for extra funding for restoration began 2 years ago and rapidly became a total community project. The kindergarten caters for around 40 children a day, and despite excellent ground facilities, Mrs. Lewis says the main building badly needs work.
As you can see, the floors are in a bad state of repair, the walls need looking at, it all needs repainting, and the outside's in a bad state of repair also and needs looking at. So it'll be completely done up inside and outside, and structural change out the back with a decent back entry.
So that 102,000 is basically for structural repairs?
Yeah, 65% of that total is for labour costs and workers' compensation, and 35% of the cost is materials, and out of the materials we'll be paying for this builder to supervise the program. So we've got a house keep well for that period of 32 weeks.
The weather may have seemed summery enough, but the hundreds of players who gathered at the National Park netball courts were there to celebrate the game's winter season. There are 400 teams in the Newcastle district alone, and today the 12, 13, 14 and 15-year-old squads showed their colours in a march past. Many of the players will represent Newcastle at the State Age Championships next month.
We will be sending 3 teams to the championships, that's the 13s, 14s and 15s. They will be played at Penrith this year.
And any other events coming up?
Yes, next year we expect even a bigger year. We have the State Championships, that's for senior players, and that's the first time outside the metropolitan area, so we look at it as a big, big thing.
And in 1988?
1988, the bicentennial year, we have the State Age Championships, which is the biggest single event in Australia in any sport.
The team is Peter Parsons, Glenn Murray, Rod Whittaker, Craig Hubbard, Ricky Stone, Greg Egar, Craig Higgins, Rip Taylor, Chris Cumming, Tony Keevil, Mark Brockenshire, John Farrer and Phil Williams is the hooker. Coach, of course, Johnny King. Meanwhile, Cessnock's 76-4 win over Central, while it's big, is not the local record, which is a win by North Newcastle, northern suburbs in those days, 127-16 in 1940. Winger Al Farrell scored 11 tries and 14 goals, and the match finished early. In Sydney, Dave Brown holds the record of 45 against Canterbury in 1935. East won 87-7. Meanwhile, Central coach John Anderson has called not guilty to claims that he humiliated his
what's
team
your reaction to
by
all
sending
this
them out minutes
hoo-ha
early
about
after
what you're
the break,
supposed to
just
have done at
stand
half
around?
time?
Well, it's a load of crap as far as I'm concerned. I think these rumours have got really out of hand. What really happened yesterday at Cessnock is that we were humiliated in the score, and these rumours saying that I locked them out at half time are completely untrue.
The reaction's been bad though. I believe they've worried you at home on the phone, certain people, and you've been mentioned in the media and put down a bit, Chuck.
Well, we have received quite a few people have rang us and voicing their disapproval, and it's been, like I said, it's rather humiliating getting beat by that many. The score, so you know we can do without this rumour going round also. We'll improve, that's one thing. We're only 2 points off the lead.